Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Student Insider. Luke, how you doing today? How's your week been?
Hello, Alex. It's good to be back again. I feel like, do love doing this podcast, obviously. But yeah, no, my week's been okay. I haven't really had too much to do. I've just been trying to. So with my iGEM team, we've been because everything's online. We've been planning on doing some one-to-one meetings with all the team, just so we can get to know each other. So that's been going really well. Just been meeting some new people, quite a lot of new people. So it's been a really pretty good week. But otherwise, nothing too much. What about you?
That sounds fun. Yeah. My week's been pretty good. I actually had I done like a filmmaking talk earlier this week.
Oh, a talk.
Yeah. So like, there's a little community that like with like different people that I know from like a course that I did. Like I mean, like off the back end of that, some people that were in the course made a community for the rest of us. So like we don't have to pay for this community. It's like just run by some of the people from done this course, and it's really fun and really interesting because it's like we have this active community of like interacting about content creation and YouTube, and like I done a talk with, because every week they run a talk and I like volunteered to do a talk this week, and I talked about filmmaking and my experience of that and things that I've learned that could help other people, and I talked about like my process in creating content, like my different methods on organization in the edit and my Notion layout for my content. Like, you know how we plan our episodes in Notion, I have like a bigger hierarchy of my other content that intertwines with it. So I have like my YouTube stuff, these episodes, my newsletter, my articles, and then I have it linked in one massive page. Yeah, it's and I was just giving a talk about that, and I actually found it pretty interesting. And yeah, actually, I'll send you the recording if you want to check out that if you want to know how I done all of that. But it's really interesting to see that people actually found it interesting to how I use Notion, and I'm actually planning to make a template for how I use it. So if anyone wants to know how I done that, we'll link in the description once I make that live of how I use Notion in a really awesome way, because I've learned from like over 1.5 years of using it. But other than that, pretty solid week.
I feel like I can see you in the future just working with Notion. I can just see that's like a thing.
Yeah,
just have so much experience. But yeah, so if that recording, I know you can send it to me. I'll definitely watch that. That sounds really cool.
Actually, it's going to be on YouTube, on the YouTube channel. It was called "We Only Know What We Know." So we'll link
we'll definitely link that in the show notes. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, you can see that there actually. Yeah,
you've like officially done like a TED talk basically.
Kind of, yeah.
Is that how you felt like on the stage? Like,
yeah, I was a bit nervous at start, but once I got started, like literally after like 1 minute of just talking to people that were helping host it, I was so calm. It was all good. Like it just felt like I was chatting with friends about stuff that we're all interested in. It was just, yeah, it was really enjoyable.
Do you know what that reminds me of? That's have you seen like the newest Disney film called Soul?
I have not seen it yet.
It's like
I want to watch it. I haven't seen it yet.
It's so good. It's so good. But like, this isn't really a spoiler, but like the way that they portray like people's like hobbies and their like passions is like they get into like this moment and they just lose themselves like doing this like thing that they love. So it must be kind of like that as well. Like you start talking, you're really nervous, but once you start getting into it, because you know filmmaking and you know Notion is like things that you're really passionate about, so you just like got into that flow when you started talking. And but yeah, no, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's like going into that flow state of like once, because you're talking about something that you are truly passionate about, and you just like you put so much time into. It's easy to just talk about it. Like I planned a little bit of what I was going to say, but it was just like everything was just, I was just speaking from experience, speaking what I know, and just sharing with other people, because you're so involved in what you do, and it's a thing you're passionate about. Like if I asked you to if I asked a simple question about science, you would probably have this massive big answer because you know so much about different parts. So it's like, it's just, that's what happens when you find something that you really enjoy. Yeah,
I've definitely found like to overcome like the public speaking like confidence issues that I had, best thing to do is to just talk about something that you're really like passionate about, because like, as you said, you kind of just lose yourself as you're talking about it, or just to like really know what you're talking about well, because I feel like the more prepared I am, the better I feel about the presentation, the less nervous I am. So that's definitely some advice I'd give for that. But anyway, into this episode. So I don't know if you want to introduce this one, Alex. I can go for it, but
go for it. Yeah.
Okay, so this is like an idea that we had where we weren't going to have a topic and we were just going to chill. And, you know, we've both got some tea here. So, you know, have a sip of this quickly. And we're just going to discuss about just things that come to mind. But before we do get into that, I think is a good time for question of the week.
Yes. Just before we dive into question of the week, if you're listening, could you please rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts? The best place to do that. We are also on all other podcast platforms, so you can check us out there: Spotify, Google, Overcast, all those things. You can check us out at our website, linked in the show notes, thestudentinsider.simplecast.com, I believe. And check us out. Please rate, review, share it with your friends on social media as well. We really appreciate it. We want it to reach more people so we can share, so other people can see and listen to what we're talking about. So let's dive into your question of the week.
Question of the week. So I was just something that I was thinking about recently, and here is my question. Are you ready?
Okay.
Are you nervous? Because I was really nervous, like, for your question last week as well. So if you had the choice to go like back into the past or to go into the future, which one would you choose and why?
Okay. You've chosen something that I thought about before, which is good because
so you're prepared.
You can see here, Back to the Future.
Back to the Future, that poster, yeah.
Okay. So would I go into the past or would I go into the future? Ooh. Okay. I don't know, you know, like I've thought about this before and I'm not sure. Like there's this thing. Okay, if you're going back into the past and you accidentally run into your past self, it can ruin the timeline or cause disruption to the earth or something like that. And I don't know if would I want to go into the future? Okay, actually, I know my answer for this. I would want to see, I don't know, I would like to do both, but my first answer is to see the because I really like history, right? I really like things that like happened in the past. And I think it's really interesting to read about it. But if I could see it with my own two eyes, like go back to, I don't know, maybe like the 1800s, 1900s, I don't know, maybe, but at some point in the past that I've read about and just like see that firsthand. Like what if I could go to the past and see Aristotle talk about something, I don't know, it's just random idea.
Doing all his like philosophy things.
Yeah. It's like just being able to go back and see something with your real own two eyes that has never been able to be documented because it was so long ago, like by like video or by photo. Like only things that have been in written word. Being able to see that with my own two eyes, that would be something that would be probably the most interesting thing I could, if I wanted to, and if that was possible, I think that would be my answer, to go back to the past and see something like that.
Imagine in the future, like for history classes, they actually like when time machines are like maybe a thing. It could be. I don't know.
You know what I would also want to see is you know, the NASA launch, like being able to be, if I was in that room, you know, when like the headquarters, when
they celebrated was that 1970 something, I think it wasn't
it a bit earlier than that? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
I would just be able to see in that room when everything was happening and them like communicating, and just when it was like when he took his first step on the moon. And that would be something really, really interesting. That's my answer.
I think that, imagine in the future, so like imagine like time machines are a thing, and then like for history trips you just actually go back like and actually witness like these events. That'd be like really cool. I think everyone would study history if that was like, you know, like a trip. You just go back like into the past. That'd be really cool. But the reason I asked that is because there was something quite funny that I read somewhere or maybe heard somewhere. Like it was a really long time ago, but basically someone was saying that they could go back into the past, but before they go, they make a note of all the dates and times of when solar eclipses happened. So then they go back and then just like start like predicting all these like times of these solar eclipses, and then become like a god, because people are like, whoa, how did you do that, you know? So that's also something pretty cool you could consider if you're a bit of like a control freak, or you want to become like a lord.
You know, like in Back to the Future, when I don't know if you've seen it, but like Biff, he's got like the almanac, and then like he's able to he knows basically what the sporting events is gonna happen, like what the result's gonna be from that.
Oh, that could be another good reason to go to the past as well, couldn't it? Actually, just to like make money for the now.
Well, I guess so, but that's not really ethical, is it?
Well, I mean, I think I'm not. I think I'd be worried about it being ethical. I think I'd be more concerned about like, you know, the attention that you'd get. It's like, wait, how did you know? And then they'd figure out about your time machine, and then you're like, busted.
Wouldn't you think about the repercussions of that? Like, what could the effect be? The thing is, if you go to the past, anything you do can alter history. Like everything that happens is an equal and opposite reaction, right? So what you do might be very minor, but who knows what how that would affect the future. So that's a big thing about when in terms of if time travel was a thing and if that was possible for you to go to the past. And there's a really cool TV show that I've watched quite a few times called Timeless, which is like all about time travel and them trying to go back and like save history. That's one of my favorite TV shows. Definitely recommend it. I actually went to, they had like an online event where you could like, it was like a talk by the cast and the directors. I think it was a month ago or so now. But yeah, that was really cool. It was like a free event to go to, which me and my sister watched because we both really love the show. So yeah, it was just on Zoom. It was really, really cool.
Oh, cool. That must have been a huge Zoom call then if it was.
Yeah, I think there was only about 400 or 500 people in there, I think.
God, I think of like platform like Zoom can actually like hold that many people in one call. That's kind of ridiculous when you think about it.
I think it was like the webinar version where you would see the people on the screen that are hosting it, but you wouldn't see the other people that are watching it, because you can have Zoom meeting and then Zoom webinar. So like webinar is like when you're just watching the other people, you don't see the other people that are watching.
Oh, is that what it was for you then?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never seen a webinar on Zoom. I've only seen them on Teams for like some of my uni work, but you know, there's it's sort of on the note of time travel too. I think the thing that we were referring to was the butterfly effect. I think that's what it's called.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And I did read a really cool book. I think it was called The Physics of Time by I can't remember who the person who read it was, but I'll put it in the show notes. It's a really good book. I found it really interesting because it just sort of goes into like how people think time work, and you know, sort of considering if time is even a thing that we should like consider, like things are moving forward, or is everything just like, you know, stuck in like one place? Like time is just a thing that, like a concept that we made, like make sense of like how, you know, we move forward in the universe. So it could not even be a thing at all. It's not a very friendly book to someone who's not had like much of a chemical background, like chemistry, which is kind of weird when you think about it, because it talks about entropy and that kind of stuff. But I'd recommend reading it if you're interested in like time travel and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I remember you talking about before. I added it to my list of books to read, but I haven't read it yet. But I've got like a list of like over 100 books that I want to read, so I'll get to it at one point.
Yeah, no, I definitely recommend it though. But
it sounded really interesting when you talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't read it for a while, so I probably had a much better overview of what the book's actually about back then. But no, it is a really, really cool book.
That's what, you know, there's this thing called Readwise, and like I at the moment I just read like physical books, right? But you can get like the Kindle, and then you can do this really like weird thing where you could highlight on the Kindle, and then that highlights sync to Readwise, and then Readwise syncs to Notion, so it makes notes of all the highlights that you made while reading.
That is really, really cool, and I wish I knew about that before.
Yeah.
I could have done that with like, can you do that with textbooks as well?
If they're on the Kindle, I guess.
Is it a Kindle specific thing, or is it something that you can do on like?
I think you can probably, so it's all about the Readwise integrates the Notion. So it's about what you integrate before Readwise. So I know you can do it with the Kindle. I don't know what else you can do it with, but yeah.
That could be a really good idea for making uni notes. If you're reading a textbook and you like highlight something, and that could be a good idea.
Yeah. I've been reading. So my goal in terms of reading this year, like I once said, okay, like when it comes to reading, I didn't really do much reading in the recent years. Like the only reading I've really done was like for university, and then like for A levels and school. Like I didn't really actively read much, but it's something I wanted to get more into. So I set like the really easy goal of, okay, let me just read one book a month. I think that's pretty manageable for me.
It depends on how big the book is, because I think it took me about 2 months to read through that book about physics and time. I think so. And that was like me reading about an hour every morning. Maybe I'm just a slow reader, or maybe I was just like one of those people that kind of likes to take things in as they go and not just read, like, because there are some people that just read and like, because I kind of have a problem where I'll read a page and I'll be like, what? I'll just get really confused. I have to read it again. But there's some people that can just get through books like once a week. And yeah, I do really wish I could do that too. Just like read books like constantly.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of like really good like books to read. And I think it causes like, I feel like a lot of people that read a lot of books, like they just come across as very intelligent and like sort of had like more experiences. Like they could have been nowhere, but if you've read loads of books, you're still like a really interesting person, I think.
Yeah, because there's so much you can talk about, so many things that you know, and so many different perspectives and things you've learned through reading. That's a big reason why I want to read more. Like since I got into personal development, I don't know, a couple of years ago or so, I mostly read things, like read blog posts and watched YouTube videos, but I realized you don't get that depth in those pieces of content. Blog posts, you get more depth compared to videos, but when you read books, you get so much more depth and better understanding of what the person is talking about, because they talk about different experiences that people had. They use examples, they illustrate the point more. Like if I read a summary of a book or watch a video of a summary of a book, it won't provide the same depth that actually reading the book does, right? And like when I read, sometimes I just have ideas when I'm reading, so I just like I always like underline things when I'm reading, because I think, oh, that resonates with me, that I really like that point, I want to like go back to it or whatever. And I have ideas when reading, so then I just like get my pencil out or pen out and then just write the idea that I came across. Like I read 2 books in like the last week or so, which is the fastest I've ever read anything.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, these are quite small books, to be honest. They're quite small books. It's called Austin, but it's by Austin Kleon, and one's called Show Your Work, and one's called Still Like an Artist. And this is about, Show Your Work is about putting yourself out there and like showing your work and like meeting other people online through your work. So like it's basically something I already do through like the different content that I create, like including this podcast and all that. But it's about showing your process as well. So for example, it's like showing the behind the scenes of what you're doing. Instead of just showing the final product, it's about showing the things that go into before that. Such as like when you come up with the initial idea, sharing who you got that idea from. And that's something that I realized I've not really started doing that on my YouTube channel. Was like, if I come up with an idea from something else, I'll link it in the description or say it in the video. And it's just, and the really cool thing about is that if that person comes across it, they'll be like, oh, that's so cool, someone mentioned me in their thing. And it's like, it creates this web of meeting other people, which I think is really cool. And and I think the power of like putting yourself out there could be really powerful. I've seen by doing that, I've met so many people, which is cool. And I feel like I've only just getting started. So it's really going to be interesting to see what happens over the the next few years or something like that. And yeah, that's mostly about what Show Your Work is. And Still Like an Artist is about seeing those who inspire you and kind of replicating them in a way. And the book says like literally copy the people that you look up to, right? And here I have some thoughts about this. It's like you have to be careful when doing that, and you have to like read it, like think about how you interpret it. So like if I look back at the different things I've created, I can see that I've drawn from different people that I look up to, and and you could say I have stole like an artist from these people, but it's created my complete own unique kind of form of creating, because it's come from so many different people. Because when you pull from all these other sources, it kind of just makes oh, that person's so unique, when in reality I've just find that to inspire me, and then plus put my own spin on it to make it to create something that is me, like more unique to me, but plus seeing the things that I like and then using that to inspire me. Yeah, so we'll link the books that we mentioned in the show notes, but yeah, those are some really interesting books if you're interested in the whole creator kind of putting yourself out there, creative artist kind of thing. Yeah,
that both those books sound super interesting. And I think that when in terms of like content creation and like giving credit to people, instead of just, like if you use someone's music that you really liked and just like, putting them in the description or something, like actually saying in the video, like at the end or something, like, oh, thank you to, so-and-so for this like really good song. I used it in this video and I thought it was really cool. And then maybe they'll see that, and instead of just reading something in the description, they'll be like, oh, they actually like mentioned me in the video. That's really wholesome of them to do that. And then in terms of like the other idea, which was completely slipped my mind because I was a bit focused on the first one.
It's all like Still Like an Artist.
Yes, I think you need to, yeah, it's definitely, you need to be very careful about that. Because yeah, it's not about like just copying someone else. I know that phrase is like, be the person that you want to be. Like that's, and I think that's a really, you got to take that with like a, not just a pinch of salt, but like a whole bag of it. I think.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, it's a big part of being human is being yourself. And I think that if you focus too much on like trying to be this one person, you might like overlook something that might be a big personality in yourself, and not think about it. Like, you know, for example, for me, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do medicine because, you know, I want to be like, you know, really like help a lot of people and that kind of thing. But then I sort of having that, and, you know, like focusing on, you know, wanting to be like a medic and be a doctor and like help loads of people, I sort of I overlooked my like really keen interest in just like really like the biochemistry of like biological processes, and just like getting like into like the really like rough details, and like, you know, like basically like the smallest point that you can get, like why is this a problem, like a disease, and then getting that down to like the smallest molecule, and like, okay, that's where the problem is. And just, I just feel like I overlooked that. And yeah, I just think that you should be very careful when you're like sort of doing that, and don't just like, I want to be this person, because, you know, you are still you, and you need to, you know.
Exactly. It's so true. Like I remember listening to a live stream ages ago. This was like 2019, and it was by Nathaniel Drew, like on Instagram, and he was saying that like, a lot of people say, "Oh, you have like similar content to Matt Diavella," and I don't. Their content is very different in a way, like the way it comes across. But some people thought it was the same, and he started to stop watching Matt Diavella, so he wouldn't, because he was really inspired by him and he liked his content. But he was like, and this is something that I also realized something I also done. It is that I really like a lot of people's work, but I started watching them less, so I don't copy them without realizing.
Okay.
Because you can watch other people, and if you watch it so much, you might accidentally, because you want to be like that person, you might accidentally just copy exactly what they're doing. Like I'm working on a video about how like my experience of tracking my time using time blocking for over 1.5 years, which I've been doing now. And I know a Matt Diavella video is out there that I watched ages ago about how he tracked his time for 3 months. And I'm not going to watch that intentionally so I don't accidentally copy it, because I know that might happen. Like I've come across different creators that I like, but I've realized those creators are really inspirational, but some people copy them, like blatantly just copy the exact same style. And I think it's all about finding your own style, because okay, there's nothing wrong with doing that, but if you want to be seen as unique, you need to do your own thing. Like you could copy someone else's exact animations or text or sound effects, but then you'll just be, some people will view you as, oh, you just copied that person. Like all it takes is to find something a little bit different, and people will be like, oh my god, you're completely different. Like you can only be so unique in terms of, like, if you come across in English is not unique, right? A lot of people speak English. If you're talking in a medium of video, a lot of people talk video, so you need to find these really other things that make you stand out. Like it might be the way that you articulate your words, different types of angles that you shoot your B-roll at. It's just about it's about finding the kind of thing you want to do and like how you want to come across. Yeah, I don't know, maybe I overthink it sometimes, but yeah.
I think, yeah, that's really interesting, because I think that, you know, if you did see someone's video and you're like, wow, that's a really cool video idea. So let's just imagine like, you know, one of your Notion videos, you saw someone else do like a video on Notion and about like, sorry, how to organize on Notion. And then you were like, I want to do a video on Notion, but, you know, you wouldn't just want to like look at their video and just, I'm not sure how it kind of works in kind of like, you know, copying someone in terms of like videos, but in terms of ideas, I think you can use someone else's ideas, like as long as, like as you said, as long as you put like a bit of a spin on it, like some personality into it. Yeah. You know, like if you're doing like a Notion video, you know, don't just like follow the exact same structure of the video, you know, maybe start somewhere else in terms of Notion, and then, you know, make some jokes along the way and add some of your personality in there. But obviously I'm not a content creator other than this podcast, so I don't really have like a, you know, my own medium like you do in terms of like YouTube. So I don't know if I can give too much of an opinion on that.
Yeah, I think you got some good points there for sure. And so, you know, like in essays, right, that we do for university, like when we write them, we credit the sources that we talk to in the references. So like, say we've like read this journal article about the topic, then of course we have to credit, because that's where we learn about it. So it's similar if, like, I was reading this blog post about these philosophers, about how their approach to like different approaches to like being productive and being happy, which they talked about, like these were like ancient philosophers. And I was just like planning out a video, and I'm gonna link to the video in the description in like my resources, because that's where I got the idea from to talk about a certain part of the video. So like I'm pulling from different sources. I'm pulling from what I know from studying philosophy. I'm pulling from these different blog posts that I've read online, different things that I've listened to, and I'm kind of just putting my own spin on it, and putting in my own way of how I want to talk about a video. Because like I think when it comes to content specifically that we're talking about, is that I think the best way to be inspired is to be inspired from a different platform, or a different, completely different type of content. Like, say, like me, I talk about personal development. The best way to be inspired is to not be watching other personal development filmmakers and YouTubers, because, like I said, we might accidentally copy them. But a better way is to listen to podcasts, read blog posts, read books, watch movies. Like movies are becoming a bigger inspiration for how I approach my filmmaking. Because I was watching this film, and there was this really cool like animation texting effects going across the screen. I was like, that is so cool, I want to do that in a video. And it's like and I'm planning to do that in a video where I'm just like typing out a quote or something, and I'll use that effect that I learned through watching a film in that video. And that's something that I started doing. I was just thinking about, when watching movies, it's just like a little like thing that started to develop is, how did they do that shot? Why did they do that? Why did they film down on that person and look up at the other person? It was to make the person looking down feel weaker, and the person looking up filming towards feel stronger, because he just punched him in the face.
Like high ground.
Yeah, that's the thing in filmmaking, is that when you are filming upwards to someone, it makes them seem bigger and more powerful, and then when you're filming down towards someone, it makes them feel small and weak.
I think that's like, just to go back to the point that you made about putting your inspiration in the show notes, so or in the description of the video. So say like you wanted to make a video about like personal development, if the creator has put in the description where they got their inspiration from, you can sort of use their foundations but make your own video out of it. So instead of like copying their ideas exactly, you're using their same source of inspiration, but you can get your own take on it. And that could be a good way, like, for video creators to like, instead of just straight up plagiarizing each other in terms of like content, they can, if you share like where you got your inspiration from, so then people can get their own take on that kind of thing. Because
the better you can go to the root sources, the better your interpretation will be, because you have a unique interpretation. Because if you're taking, by watching a video and say their resources like multiple steps down from different people, if you go back all the way to the original source, by the time you get to your final piece, you'll have a different interpretation of it, because everyone interprets things differently. Like I remember when studying philosophy at A level, there were some topics that are hard to grasp, right? Like it's not the most easiest thing. So you have to read it over and over, and like, I just read that, but that didn't make sense. Let me read it again. Okay, it's starting to make more sense now. Let me watch a video on it. That is a really simple concept. Now let me read what I read. That makes so much more sense, because I've got that understanding from one source, got an understanding from another source, and it's just pulling in from different perspectives.
I think in terms of movie making as well, I didn't realize how much of a difference like the music in scenes can have on like the atmosphere. Because there's this game that I played recently because a friend recommended it to me. It's called Hollow Knight. It's like an indie game, so it's not, the graphics aren't great. Like it's a very 2D game. I mean, in terms of like the game's programming, the graphics are like absolutely astounding, but in comparison to like Call of Duty Warzone or something like that, it's obviously nothing in comparison. But I just, the music in that game like really sets like the atmosphere of some of the like the areas that you go into like really well. And I think it's one of the people that developed it are called Team Cherry, and I think they did like a fantastic job in sort of like making the atmosphere in like the environments that you go into like really heavy.
Like in films, if you really listen to it, you can hear the sound effects and how the difference would be without it, and the music, like you said, plays a really big part. Like I remember making a video when my sister was making some bread in the kitchen. We're making bread. I was like, oh, let me film it. Let me make a video out of it. It was like a short, maybe 40-second, 1-minute video, and I put loads of sound effects in, and it came out so much cooler. Like I listened to it without the sound effects, and then I listened to it with the sound effects, and it made such a big difference. Like the placing down of the bowl or the tray going into the oven, just finding from sound effects from different places that I use online. From like, I think there's something called freesounds.com or
freesounds.com. That's a very
like
original.
Just free sound effects in Google, and you find loads of things. And yeah, and it was like, it wasn't, I didn't just search him exactly what it was, but I was just listening to different sound effects and seeing how can that match that. Like, I think it was like a book being placed down plus another sound effect made the sliding of the tray sound like a sliding of a tray. It's like, like in Foley, which is like the making of sound effects in like cinema and films.
Okay, yeah.
It's usually people in a studio like moving loads of things around. Like when it's like maybe a horse is like running across, they're probably they're in like a room, and they have something, other sort of objects just like clapping on the table and then recording it with high quality microphone.
Yeah, that's weird that you managed to make a book sound like a tray.
Yeah, I know. I know.
But when you're making videos, have you ever like recorded your own sound effects?
I have a few times. Like I remember there was this like typing on the phone, and I recorded the exact typing on the phone, so it would sync up with the exact press of each button was the audio of that.
Okay.
But apart from that, a lot of sound effects have just been from the internet, because there's lots of great ones out there.
Freesounds.com.
I don't know if that's the exact one, but yeah.
Very original website name, isn't it? Freesounds.com. Yeah. You know, it's weird because when I was a lot younger, I was really
Freesound.org. Freesound.org. Go on.
.org. Okay, that's very important. It's very important. Anyway, so we'll put that in the show notes if you're interested in sound effects. But yeah, there was when I was a lot younger, I used to be really, really interested in animation. This was like, how old would I have been? Maybe like 9, 10. And I used this software called Pivot. I don't know if you've heard of that before.
No, I haven't.
It's a very, very old software. I don't even know if you can even use it anymore. It might have run through Adobe Flash Player or something like that. Okay. I can't. It's very, very long time ago. But it was something that my granddad used to have on his computer, because I used to go around there every weekend, and he used to just like sit on there and practice using it. And it was really, really cool. I used to make like these it's based around stick figures, so obviously the animation isn't great, but it's like setting it frame by frame, and like over time I got quite good at it, and I used to really, really, really enjoy it. And then I remember there was a time in year 4 when I was in primary school that my teacher like set up like an animation like evening where people would come in and like use Pivot, and this wasn't even set up by me. It was just like a coincidence. It was like my calling. I was like, oh my god, this is my time. So I went in there and I absolutely smashed it. Like, because I had all this practice, I made like this really cool animation. It was basically just like some stick figure punching another one, and then like he like basically gets sent towards the camera and then hits like the screen and then like slid down. So that's something I did in Pivot like ages ago, and I used to make like my own little like whole stories of just like animations with this software. It was really cool, and that's something I really wish that maybe I looked into a bit more when I was younger, because that was something I really liked doing.
That's so cool. Like, this actually links nicely to something I was reading the other day, actually yesterday. There's something, I don't know if you heard of it. Have you heard of this thing called NFTs?
No, I can't.
It's something that's been exploding on the internet recently, especially on Twitter.
Oh, I don't have Twitter. That's probably why I've missed it.
So basically, NFTs they are pieces of digital art. Let me get the exact definition up. It's like pieces of digital art that people are selling on the internet, and it's like in a crypto, blockchain kind of way, where people sell it for a cryptocurrency such as Ethereum. I still have like a very minimal understanding of what it is, but essentially people are selling like pieces of digital art, and they're selling for a really high price. Like, have you heard of, I think it was Logan Paul? He sold like $1 million worth of NFTs in 30 minutes, and then he totaled like 5 million from selling NFTs.
So in a way, bits of tiny pieces of digital media have become a currency.
Yeah.
That is very, very bizarre. What are they like? Are they like GIFs or something like that? Or
So yeah, so it's like JPEGs, GIFs. So it could be like just a picture, or it could be a GIF, like you say. So the definition is non-fungible token, which is like it's said a unique digital file stored on a digital ledger called a blockchain. So
okay.
the NBA created one where they had, because they have the rights to their footage, obviously they created one of LeBron dunking, and I think it sold for like $200,000. And you know,
What?
it's crazy. Like the CEO of Twitter is selling his first tweet, and the highest bidder is like 2.5 million.
Like dollars?
Yeah.
What? Can't you just like go back and just screenshot, or just like, you know, take like a screen recording of the GIF? You
So,
know.
so the thing is it is like it's a piece of art that can't be replicated. This is the only one in the world, because the thing is, it is verified by the curator of it, like, and there can't be another one. Like, no matter, like, if you take there was a really good example I heard online, which was like the Mona Lisa, right? It's a piece of art. This is a physical piece of art, but there can only be one Mona Lisa. Like, you could go to the Mona Lisa, take a picture of it, but that will never be the same as the actual Mona Lisa, because there's only one of them. Like, that tweet, there's only one tweet that was made at that exact time by that person with those writing, and then he will sign. And I think how it works is the person that buys it, he will sign it and then send it to him. And how people are looking at it is that it's an investment. So like how people invest in trading cards, like sports cards and Pokemon cards, something that's been booming recently. It's like the digital version of that. So
Yeah,
people
that's
it's kind of like, yeah, go on, carry on.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but I just think that's very bizarre, because I can understand the Mona Lisa. You know, it's been painted, like it's a physical thing, but with a video, like I can just like say you want to download a movie off the internet. That movie, I don't know if I'm correct, but it should be like all the code that's behind it and all the data behind the file should be identical to the original. So I'm struggling to understand how. I mean, if you sign it, it's probably a bit different. I mean, unless you can like forge a signature. But yeah, I'm just struggling to see like how a video or any kind of file on the internet can be changed in a way that it's like, unless you maybe encrypt it. I don't know. I think this is really just confusing me.
Yeah, I think it's because of how it works through blockchain. Is it like it makes it unique or something like that? But yeah, we'll link a few videos down below that I watched about it. That is pretty interesting. But from what I understand, it's like it's going to be like might be like a new boom in terms of how things work, because it's going to be like art which is not physical, it's just digital, and people were investing in it, which is crazy to think about.
You know, we should make our episode 1 of the Student Insider as a was it a TGF or something like that?
TGF.
The GIF things that you were talking about.
Yeah.
We can make one of those and sell that. Who would be willing to buy? I don't think I'm. I don't want to get involved in like cryptocurrencies and that kind of thing. It kind of just scares me, especially after that whole like BitConnect scam that happened. That happened ages ago. It kind of worries me. I don't think I know enough about it, but you know.
The big problem with things like this, with cryptocurrency related things, is, from what I've read, is that you don't really know the value of it, because it's not really got it's only got value from what people value they think it has, or what they say it has. Like, if you invest in a stock in the stock market, you're investing in a business which produces a product or service. But basing on this, something like this, is you're just interpreting it based on other people's interpretations. Basically, you don't really know the worth of it. That's the really thing. Like, if you see Bitcoin, their prices change a lot in terms of how much it's worth, because it's not really got a tangible value.
Yeah, I mean, I guess could you not just say the same with like other currencies as well? I mean, I guess you've got like quite a solid foundations of you know wherever that currency is used, and then like kind of like the the value of that country, I guess, as a whole. probably links into like the exchange rates and that kind of thing too. But I don't know, that just sounds very confusing, and I don't want to like hurt my brain trying to think about it. It's definitely not a field that I'm too like knowledgeable about, but I don't know, I think there's probably a lot of potential for like virtual currencies in the future. I definitely think that's like a, I mean, I think Elon Musk accepts Bitcoin as a payment for like his products. So, you know, he's not a stupid guy. Like Elon Musk is a very smart man. So,
Yeah.
you know, if that's something to go off, then I don't know. But
yeah, I was actually watching a video about Elon Musk, and I ended up reading up about it. And he started his first company quite soon after college. I just want to check the name, but I know is what he sold it for, like I think it was 20 million, and that's what became PayPal after, because he was like I'm just checking the name of it. I think it was like Pay2Net, no, Zip2, sorry, yeah, Zip2 Corporation. He started in 1995, which was oh no, that was a different. I think that's what became PayPal.
That's really interesting. I never would have thought that Elon Musk would have ever been involved with PayPal. That's just two things I never would have put together.
Yeah. Musk launched his company Zip2 Corporation in 1995 with his brother Kimball Musk, an online city guide. Zip2 was soon providing content for new websites for both New York Times and Chicago Tribune. That was different from what I read before, but yes.
That's really fascinating. Yeah. So
yeah, and then he used most of his money. And he used the most money he did to invest in SpaceX. They made from selling Zip2.
Yeah, no, Elon Musk has got some absolutely like absurd ideas in terms of like, you know, like colonizing Mars and then like the Neuralink thing as well. I think that's really fascinating. Like the Neuralink, it kind of reminds me of like cyberpunk, you know, like the whole you know, like mechanical, like half cyborg kind of vibe that you get in the future. It's like everyone's going to be like have some kind of mechanical aspect to them. There's also a really good Netflix show that I watched like a bit of, but then got bored of it, called Altered Carbon. I don't know if you've like heard of seeing that, but that was really good. But I haven't actually seen the end of it. But from what I watched, it was a pretty good show.
What was it about?
It's like, I need to remember it. I watched it a while ago, but like everyone has their like consciousness stored on a like a disc that goes like in the back of your like neck, and you can basically just like switch bodies like that. It's like if your body like dies or it gets old, you can literally just take out your like consciousness and just put it in another body. And it's just like about that. Yeah, something like that. It's very, very confusing, because it's just like, you know, the people that are rich can just like buy all these bodies and just like live forever. That's that kind of thing. So it was a very interesting show, but yeah, very needs a very mature audience, I think, to watch it. It's one of those kind of things. But that does scare me.
Yeah, I was just checking what I said about Elon Musk, and here it is that his first company went on to become Zip2, a web software startup that created online city guides for newspapers. Musk and his brother founded the company in 1995 and then sold it to Compaq for 300 million.
What? That's so much money.
Yeah, I think it was either 300 or 200. This was 300 million. That was in 1999, and then he used that money to start X.com with a financial services that merged with Confinity in 2000. That later became PayPal.
300 million is just so much money. It is ridiculous.
But he dropped out of, was it Stanford, to pursue his ideas of like the internet boom that was happening around that time.
Stanford, is that like a good college?
Yeah, that's one of the top ones in America. I think that's like Ivy League, quote unquote.
Ivy League, that's the ones. Yeah, I was thinking, because we've got Russell Group and they have the Ivy Leagues, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, that is so much money. Like I don't even think we can comprehend like how much money that it actually is.
Yeah, like it's insane.
You know, it's really ridiculous. Like, you know, like football players and other kind of celebrities, especially artists, music artists. I think they probably make the most money out of anyone I can think of, honestly. Like, you know, make one song and, you know, people are set for life. You know, literally just takes like one song.
Has to be good though.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Just maybe I should start getting onto like SoundCloud, like a rapper, and just like make like one really good rap song and then just disappear forever with all my money. But yeah, like you find that a lot of celebrities, they just have so much money that they ended up just just giving most of it away to charity just because they don't know what to do with it. Like, imagine having that much money, like you don't know what to do with it. That is something that I think 90%, no, probably like 99% of the population will never ever experience. But yeah, that is ridiculous.
I remember hearing that in America, like 1% of like what the highest percent of wage is like 400K or something like that. And then people saying they want to make $1 million when like the percentage of people that do that is really, really small. It's like people think, oh, that's easy, but in reality, things like that, to make such an impact, to make such an amount, it's not going to be easy. You can see, like Elon Musk said, he openly said he works 80 to 100-hour work weeks every week, dividing his time between SpaceX and Tesla.
Jesus, that's like, what's the normal like average like full-time work is like what, 70-ish hours, is it?
I think no, the average is 40. The average full-time work is
40
hours. 40
yeah,
hours,
40 hours. Yeah.
So he's basically working 2 full-time jobs.
Overtime. That is ridiculous.
And he said I remember reading his like time management thing is he plans his days in 5-minute intervals. Can you put this 5 minutes? That's so crazy and specific.
How can you even do that? Like, for 5 minutes I'm going to do this, and then 5 minutes I'm going to do that. I could maybe do an hour at max. That'd be like a push for me to do like hours, like a day. But yeah. I mean, you think about like a good salary in the UK, like you'd consider like maybe like 40, 50K. Like that's like a comfortable, like very, very comfortable salary to be at. And then you think of like, even if you're earning like 100K, like you're in the upper, like, you know, boundaries of people that earn money. And then even then, like you're going to have to work for, you know, a year without spending a penny to become a millionaire, technically.
Well, and then longer than a year to become a millionaire.
Well, 100,000 times that 10
years. You said 1 year.
Oh, wait, 10 years?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What was I thinking? I think I got confused with a month, maybe. I mean, what sort of person earns that much a month? But yeah. And then you think of like, you know, selling companies or the net worth of like Pepsi and Coca-Cola being like something like ridiculous, like in the billions. You just can't comprehend like how much money that actually is.
And then you have to think about tax. Money. You get 20% tax up to 40K. Then after that, it's 40%, I think, tax above that. So even before that, it takes a long time. That's why I started becoming interested in things like investing and that kind of thing, because it's about using what you've got and making more from it. Like Tim Ferriss, he's like a entrepreneur. He's written quite a few books, actually. He's done quite a lot of different things. He's done like he came up with like, I remember I was reading I read some of his book of the 4-hour work week that I still need to finish. He's talking about how he came up with this new technique in a certain type of wrestling, and now like that's one of the biggest techniques used. And he was talking about he made a lot of his money through investing in other startups and companies. Like he made a certain amount through the other things that he's done, but that next level was through funding other things and turning his money into more money by like basically believing in people and what other people were doing. Like Elon Musk as well, like Warren Buffett. Like these people who are investing in other things, not just what they are doing, because that is something that can have a big ROI for them.
Yeah, if you think about it, like on the just like investing in stuff on the side, it's I don't know. I've never done it before, obviously. But you know, it's not. I can imagine it's not something that's very high maintenance. Like you invest in something and then you just wait and see like where it goes, and then you can pull your money out at the right time. You know, if you feel like you've made a decent profit from it. But I don't know. I guess you consider it like a type of gambling in that sense. You know, like you invest in something and hope that it does well.
It is.
So I don't know. I feel like that's too risky. I'm not much of a gambler myself.
There's a difference, and like it's about it's like I don't know much about it, and I've only like experimented a little bit with investing in the stock market. But yeah, I think how I view it is about long-term investments, not trying to become like a day trader or anything like that, because that just sounds so annoying. Like you're gonna wait until this goes up and then you're gonna sell and then you're gonna, I don't know. It's like I think of it as I want to start, because I remember reading about how if you get started investing early, you can make so much more compounding returns in the future. Like compared to if you start investing at 20 compared to if you start investing at 30, the amount of money you can make in the long run is so much more because you started earlier, because it's got compounding interest in what you've put your money into. So that's why I'm trying to get started and learn more about it. Like, yeah, there we go.
It's a bit like switching bank accounts, isn't it, to keep the interest up, like to keep like the money coming in. But yeah, sort of on the lines of money, I think that money is definitely a necessary thing, like 100%. Even though, you know, if you think about it, I think I've mentioned this before, but money literally has no value when you think about it. It is literally like, you know, a number online or just a piece of paper. It's only us that puts value to it.
But we need to survive that. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that it's kind of sad as well, because it's so easy for people to get lost, like in this just like pursuit of money and success, that, you know, they kind of like lose their, like, you know, whole reason of being, you know, like you're alive, like you've got stuff to go and do and see, you know, you shouldn't just like spend your whole life chasing money.
Yeah, exactly. Like put things into perspective of what you like. Happiness, like there's things that show that a good a stable amount of income where you can live comfortably, that provides you a good level of happiness, right? But you don't need so much more to be happy, right? You can that can help you like build a economic financial engine way, or whatever you want to call it. But if you don't have enough, that's when it becomes, well, you basically can be unhappy because you don't know what you're doing. Like it becomes really stressful. So when you go above this big line, yes, it's nice. The thing is, you can make more impact when you have more money. That's a lot of things that I've come across, that like things like Elon Musk, what he's doing, he's being able to fund that because of the money that he made. Like he wouldn't be able to send rockets up to space if he didn't have the money to do that, because basically from more money he's making more impact. So that's something that just to think about as well. Like a lot of people don't really need to do what Elon Musk is doing. Like a lot of people just want to live comfortably and do whatever they do. But if you want to make more of an impact, there's usually a correlation between them two. I think that's my thoughts on it at the moment anyway. Another
point on like the lines of happiness is, I know that there's like Buddhist monks, like they like sort of become like, I'm not sure how it works exactly, but they become part of like these temples, and they shave their heads, you know, and they like fully focus themselves like towards this like religion and this pursuit of like enlightenment. And I think that they all probably have like, you know, probably maybe potentially like the happiest people in the world, like even though they might not have anything, they've just got like this like weird like, you know, religious way of like a religious outlook on being happy, and they manage to find it through that, instead of having like this finding happiness through like living a comfortable life and having like money to rely on when you need it. So
yeah. It was this actually something that I studied in, links nicely to something I studied in philosophy, which was so Aristotle said that like the ultimate like goal or thing that one can strive for is something called eudaimonia, which,
how do you spell that? I don't even know where to begin.
EUDAIMONIA, and that translates to happiness, or also known as like human flourishing, which is like reaching this
in Latin.
I think eudaimonia is a Greek word.
Greek word, okay.
Yeah, and like the translation to English is human flourishing or happiness. And what Aristotle said was that this is something that you can't be. It's something that can be reached. It's like an end goal of your life, and it's something that can be like cultivated in a way through like virtuous actions and like having good moral character, not by like making more money or something like that. It's like being a good person. The whole thing of philosophy, right, is to ask questions and like search for like ask questions, like answer and then ask more questions. Like, was it Socrates? I think it was Socrates. Let me check.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not great with my philosophy.
Yeah, so Socrates said, this is from a research from a video that I mentioned earlier as well. So it's like Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. And like you need to ask questions. And he asked so many questions to so many people, like questioning their knowledge, that he actually like upset a lot of people, because it wasn't a thing back then to like question these kind of things. It was like, well, how do you know what you know? Do you even know what you know? But why is that? Why do you think that? Why do you believe that? Why do you feel like that? And he was actually
people like realize like, oh my god, where am I?
And he was actually my friend told me about this, and I was reading it yesterday, and he was actually sentenced to death by hemlock poisoning in 399 BC.
Is that a brutal like way of killing someone? Hemlock, was that hemlock poisoning?
Yeah, so he was given the option to flee to exile, but he chose
flowers.
Sorry,
hemlock is like a flower, right?
It must be a poisonous flower then.
Yeah,
this was 399 BC, so
yes.
Yeah.
the alchemists, like, this is my finest poison with the hemlocks.
Yeah, so he because he believed so much in what he was saying and asking, he chose death over fleeing to exile. And then and then it was Plato that wrote up all his teachings, because he didn't actually write anything down.
That name is familiar. I've heard that one before. That's crazy though. Like, imagine, instead of being exiled, and I guess that was in a way he was like away from his passion, which was asking questions, and maybe his laboratory or something that he used to do questioning in. I don't know. Some kind of like really old school kind of building. I don't know. But that's definitely like really fascinating. I think that it's good to ask those questions, but I don't know, how do you even go about tackling them? That's the question, isn't it? Like some questions, it's just like, how do you even go about answering this? Like, like especially like with the universe, like where do you even begin?
Yeah, I know. It's difficult, and yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to think about though.
I think it's very like thought stimulating, and I think that's really good, because that's what human beings are about. It's about we've been given these huge brains, so we might as well use them to their fullest.
Yeah,
like we're like top of the food chain now, because of just how big our brains are. We're not like the strongest beings. Throw me in a cage of a lion, I'm not gonna be able to do anything. I'll just run. I probably won't even be able to outrun it.
Yeah.
But in terms of we've got these like really huge brains. We're self-conscious. We know that we're someone. We know. I think it's really cool that I know, like, from my physiology and anatomy, like I know about what's going on inside me and how things are working. It's just being very self-aware. It's just a very, very cool thing that humans have. And I think it's like, you can maybe say this is very philosophical as well, but you can say it's like our responsibility to ask these questions, being like kind of like higher thoughts, that kind of thing.
Yeah, just like not floating through life without really thinking about it. Like thinking like, oh, I'm doing this thing, but do I really want to be doing that? What's the reason I'm doing that? What's the reason I am maybe procrastinating on something? Do I not enjoy it? Do I find it difficult? Am I afraid to fail? Like, what's the reason behind it? That's the kind of thing philosophy would say, like, question the reason, question your beliefs and feelings, and that will probably change your actions.
It's really interesting you say that, because I would personally, after you said that, I would say like maybe look into the psychology of it, like the psychology of attention and that kind of thing. So maybe that, I don't know how much. I think psychology and philosophy are probably very, very like closely intertwined, especially when it comes to things like memory and dreaming. We have no idea how that works, and maybe there is just like something that, because obviously your brain is literally just a whole bundle of nerve tissue. That's what it is. It is just and then like and there might be something above that you don't see, like consciousness might not just be a load of nerve signaling. It could be something that we can't actually observe. That's something really interesting to think about. But that's very like philosophical. It's like from this like massive network of neurons, like there's this new like form of thought and like being ascended, that kind of thing, in that kind of sense. But yeah, that's very philosophical, and I think that's very interesting, something you could maybe think about. But I don't know. Be funny, like just asking a dog, like, why are we here? Why are we in the universe? Just like starts looking at you, just wagging its tail. So yeah, I guess we have a kind of responsibility in that sense, but I don't know.
Yeah,
very confusing.
Actually, I want to ask you, how was your like experience of like going off Instagram, or did you go off any other social media other platforms? But
the only thing that I kept was LinkedIn and WhatsApp. Okay. My screen time went down by about 2 hours on average, cool, which is pretty good. I think I managed to just like channel other apps in place of what I was using. So I deleted YouTube, but when I wanted to listen to music, I would just go on the internet on my phone and like just Google YouTube and then go on it through there. So that's kind of like me cheating in a way. But no, it's definitely been helpful. I feel like I've got a lot more time in the day. And yeah, I just kind of didn't realize like how much I relied on my phone in terms of like, you know, just sort of maintaining that like short-term like motivation and happiness, because, you know, doing work all the time is a bit demotivating. So, you know, when I needed that like short burst of, you know, like happy hormones to get me through my work, I just use my phone or look at something funny.
Yeah.
But I've sort of managed to, by straying away from my phone, I've realized that I don't need my phone for those like short bit like bursts of motivation. I can find it elsewhere. So maybe just like, instead of like just looking at my phone, just like going downstairs, making a cup of tea and just talking to someone can bring that motivation back in place of it.
Yeah.
So I think it's been really helpful, and I'm really glad that we actually did that episode. And I actually watched The Social Dilemma as well, after you recommended it, and it was just like, wow. I think the way that they portrayed the way that you like the way that they use you, because it was like this one guy that was like sort of like moving around looking at the screens like this, if you remember, and then there's like 3 people like quickly send him an ad so that he stays on his phone.
Oh yeah, it was like there was like graphic animation thing in like the background saying like, oh, he was trying to keep him on the app, like send him a notification or something like that, right?
Yeah, like send him another post of Rebecca so he stays on his phone, like something like that. But yeah, it was obviously I know that's not real, but it was a good way of like scaring me into thinking like, oh my god, like, you know. And the most crazy part is like similar to how the owners of like massive fast food chains like McDonald's and KFC don't let their children eat at the restaurants that they've like built. Like these people that work at like Google and all these like massive social media companies don't let their children use social media. And it's just like, wait a minute, you know, if they're not letting their kids do it, but they're letting others do it, it's like, you know,
it really makes you think like these platforms and devices provide a lot of value, but it's when they're used in excess, it has a negative effect. And they're like, they like, you know, Steve Jobs, right? He invented the iPhone, he invented the iPad, but he wouldn't let his kids use it.
Yeah, it's
like there's another example there. Like it really makes you think. Like I love these platforms, but when you take time away from it, it provides even more value, because like I feel like if I've watched a lot of content from someone and I've already learned what I need to know, perfect. I don't need to know anymore. It's like if someone listens to our episode through seeing us on social media, the last episode we made about spending less time with technology, and that provides them value, and if they want to unfollow us, I'm happy with that. I provided you value. Please go on and do what you want to do. Like I just want to share things that can help other people. Like I don't care about the number of followers I have. I just want to provide value over numbers.
Yeah, I do feel like kind of bad for like the upcoming generations, because I feel like they've had access to technology a lot earlier than we did. Like for example, I didn't get a phone until I was like in year 7. So when I just started secondary school, and like that, the only reason that I got one is because my mum was like, you know, if you need to call me or something. And the only other social media that I had at the time, I'm not sure how big Snapchat was around that time. It would have been year 7 would have been like 12, 13. So I would have been like maybe 2012, 2013. I don't know how big those platforms were back then. But you know, it's like the only thing I had was BBM, like BlackBerry Messenger, and I just used that to message friends. And I feel like if I had that influence of social media, like looking at all my friends, like posting all these pictures and get loads of likes, I think I would have been really susceptible to that. That would have really like damaged my self-esteem, I think, as a child, like when I was that age. And I'm kind of glad that I grew up not having like that much technology around me, especially like in primary school, because, you know, so I meet people now and their kids have got, you know, like you know, 6, 7 years old and they've got phones. And you're like, what?
Yeah, I
know. Why have they got a phone?
Exactly,
you know,
exactly.
And it's really bad. So I'm kind of blessed in that sense that, you know, I was still exposed to this like sort of technological revolution that we've had in terms of like communication, but at the same time I've also had that like experience of, you know, living like a normal childhood, like partially free of screens, because they were still there, but you know.
Yeah, it was no way as much when we were younger. Like I was the same. I got my first phone, I think it was in year 7 as well, and it's crazy to think about things like, say, like little kids on their phone. Like, why do you need it? Like the whole thing about being a kid, you just do what you want to live in the moment.
Go play football, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh my god, like it's just I don't know. It's like, I don't know, man. You get this certain, like, there's this thing, right, where if you keep switching between like checking social media and like doing your work or whatever you want to do, you can't enter this like ever zone. You can never enter this zone of focus, because you keep your brain keeps going, oh, you're going here, oh, now you're going back there, oh, now you're over here, now you're checking your email, now you're on social media. You can never actually get much done, because you're not actually focused on one thing at once. Like Cal Newport calls it deep work, is that you can reach this zone of focus when you actually spend a lot of time in one place doing it. Like, it takes, like, if you check your email and then go back to doing something else, your brain's going to take 15, 25 minutes to get back into that zone before you went onto it. And it's there's value, but there's distraction. So it's all about finding, like, if you want to get rid of social media, like I have done before, and I try not to keep it on my phone at all as much, and it can just really help you. Like, I was watching these videos of people like quitting their smartphone for 30 days, and they were just like either like not having a phone, or like using an old like dumb phone, if you want to call it, like without all the like the social media kind of thing. I think that's really interesting to think about. If I tried that,
that could be cool.
What would happen? Like, I don't think my life would really be impacted anyway in a negative. It wouldn't, like, the only thing that I would be annoyed at is that I won't have WhatsApp on my phone. Apart from that, if I want to go on Twitter, I can go on my computer. If I want to, I don't know, post to YouTube, I can still do that. I don't need to do that on my phone. If I want to watch a YouTube video or read a blog post, I can still do that in another form.
I think there's the only really downside of it is that you might be bullied by a lot of people for, oh, hey, you haven't got a smartphone, you've got like this really old phone.
I don't care. I don't care, man.
No, you'd be like, yeah, but at least I'm not addicted. Yeah, no, there was this really cool study that I remember where they had like a bowl of like chocolates or sweets, and they had like some people where they put the sweets on the desk, and then some people where they put them in the drawer, and they found that the people who had the sweets in the drawer ate like significantly less of the sweet than the people that had it like on the desk. So, and maybe like, I think you've mentioned this before as well, like just keep your phone out of your room, like out of sight, out of mind, no notifications, because, like your phone is literally like, I've just realized that the phone is literally designed to get your attention and like, look at me, please look at me, spend time on me, So you get like this ding sound. You're like, oh, what's that? Who's that? It's just really bad. I'm so glad that I've taken time away from it. Honestly, it's really, really like I've so much more time. I've got like so much more time now.
Luke, I'm so happy what we talked about has helped you. Like last week, like what we talked about.
Yeah, honestly, it has. It's really has been like another epiphany. It's like the icing on the cake for my laptop like exploding. So, yeah, no, it's really good, and I would definitely recommend it. Honestly, it's helped me so much, and I think it can probably help a lot of people too.
Yeah, it's because like, when the notification happens and you hear it, it's like there's this feeling of, oh, what is that? I don't know what it is. It's like this curiosity because you hear the sound, so you're like, oh, it's that instinct to check because you don't know what it is and you want to find out what it is.
Oh, who messaged me? It could be anyone. What did they say? Was it a meme? Is it a picture? Is it a message? Is it an invite? It could be anything.
Was it Elon Musk?
Elon Musk, imagine. God, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I'm definitely very glad that I've stopped using my phone as much. I'm a lot happier, I think. I found,
and a big thing, is like I've been trying to spend like more time outside, like just going for walks and stuff like that, and I've seen that has provided like exposing to more sunlight is just something that has really helped. Just like I think, like feel happier in general. I think
more vitamin D,
Yeah, exactly, and it's helped me sleep better as well. Like I can get to sleep quicker.
Maybe because I found that as well. When I've done like more exercise, I feel like I can sleep a lot easier. Oh, another really good tip for someone who like needs help sleeping. I heard this on one of Joe Rogan's podcasts. I don't know if you watch much Joe Rogan. But if you have like a bath, like a really, really hot bath before you sleep, all your blood vessels dilate and it keeps your body like really, really cool. So like, when sometimes you get really agitated because it's so hot in here, I'm never going to fall asleep. But apparently if you have a bath, your body's like for like a good like 30 minutes or so, your body's like just trying to get rid of all this excess heat from the bath. So like you just like your body temperature just drops and you're so cool. You're just sitting there like, oh, this is like perfect. Just like drift off. So
that's pretty cool.
I definitely recommend if you're struggling to sleep, just like do loads of exercise during the day and then just like stretch it out when you get back, have a bath and then just you know, you'll be straight out, I reckon. I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
That's my advice anyway, because best nights of my life, like Tuesday, go to judo training, 2 hours of like solid, just like, you know, massive work, come home, stretch it all out, have a bath, and then boom, I'm sleeping like 5 minutes. And I wake up the next day, I'm aching like really badly, but you know, it's just so worth it because you just have like such a nice night's sleep.
Yeah. Oh man, I made the mistake of not stretching. Was it before going for a run, and my legs were killing me the next day.
Oh god, no, you've got to stretch. Honestly, it's so bad.
I learned that the hard way. So you know, I always stretch for basketball, and I was like, but I forgot to do it for a run. Oh well, but you know, I live and learn. It was fine. The next day after that,
there was this time where I tried to do this challenge where you do 100 push-ups, sit-ups, and squats every day, and you're supposed to do a 10-kilometer one. It's like
that's like, is that from an anime?
Yeah, it's the One Punch Man workout. I started off quite like slow, but I went like overboard like at the beginning, and I didn't stretch it out at all. So like school the next day, like my abs, like my stomach was so painful. Like literally sitting down, it took me like 30 seconds just because of like how slowly I had to do it because it was just so painful. It was so bad. Oh, it was so bad. It was such a like awful day. It was like so. I've never been in so much pain in my life. I don't know how like my body withstood the sit-ups when I did them at the time, but the next day, like I felt it was so bad. Oh my god, I'm never doing that again. So painful. It was really bad. Yeah,
that's all because you forgot to stretch though.
Yeah, literally. I think if I stretched it out, I probably would have been like a lot better. It still would have been painful, but not as bad as it was. It was so bad.
Because you went from like, because it's like a massive amount compared to what we normally do. Probably like none or much less. It's like a body's like, what the hell's happening here?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. But yeah, this reminds me of school. I do miss like just like the walks to school. You know, when you got like your friends and you're just chatting on the way to school. Like it's like you just miss moments like these. Same with uni as well. Just like because I had friends that lived in my dorm with me, I could just like call them and be like, let's walk to uni together, and just miss those kind of moments. Lockdown, oh, what's it done to me?
Yeah, man. Oh my god, yeah. I miss playing basketball so much with my friends from uni. Like I made so many friends through playing basketball, which is so cool. But like in uni, they took all the hoops away from the parks when lockdown happened. The government went there, or the council, or whatever, and took the hoops away.
Maybe that was to stop people from going there. I guess
so. Yeah,
that's really bad. Actually,
that's like it's, what can you do? That's what they did. But you know, there's been a lot. There's a lot missed this year.
Yeah, definitely. But you know, I think I remember someone like saying like, you know, compared to the sacrifices that people had to make, like in terms of World War II, like, you know, like the rationing and you know, like that was like years and years of like
when you put that in perspective, it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's like a minor sacrifice, you know. It's just one of those things, you know. It's for the best of the world as well. You know?
Exactly. Like you think about like all the things, but by everyone doing this, we're helping the world, as you say, which is good because we're doing stuff for the world, humanity, in a way by just doing our own small thing. It's having a bigger impact.
Yeah, so everyone hang in there, you know. You've got this podcast to listen to as well, so you know, we've eased your worries. I would also recommend playing if you need like a little bit of a single player experience in terms of games. I know that you've like stressed like don't play games, it's really bad, but
I didn't say don't play games.
I know, but you know, like manage your time on games. But if you do like want something to like pass the time, I would definitely recommend Hollow Knight. It was such a great experience, but you do need to be kind of a person for like getting really like involved in the story and understanding it, rather than just like someone who's a lot more about just like straight up gameplay, like full on action, like maybe play Call of Duty in that sense. But if you do want something to chill and like enjoy, then I would recommend Hollow Knight.
I love games that have a good storyline.
Yeah, you might like this. You might like Hollow Knight. Then it was so good. It's a really good story.
What's it on?
It's on pretty much all platforms. I've got mine on my Switch.
Okay.
So you could, I think, if you have Steam on your
PS4.
I don't know. I don't think it would be because it's quite a small game. Like it's not like because PlayStation is, because it's such a big console. I think they're more designed for like the bigger, beefier games, like, you know, like Uncharted and GTA. But you could look into it. But I would definitely recommend playing it if you want something to pass the time.
Oh yeah, it's on PS4. Hollow Knight, right?
Yeah, it should be like, I got mine for like £10. It was definitely worth it. I've spent like 30 hours on it overall. Like
I haven't even had any time to play video games in a long time, but hopefully at some point.
Hopefully, yeah. Once things die down a bit. But yeah, no, I've just been using it to like pass my evenings away.
I do take on too many things sometimes, but you know, it's all right. I'm all right.
Yeah, I sort of learned that lesson last year, and I've managed to not get myself in that same position since. Like, don't take on too much, you know, just take things as they come. And you know, it's not about doing everything, it's just about doing something really well.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It's like if you dedicate to one thing really well, like you say, you can do that much better compared to and everything. But if you do like loads of things, it become mediocre because you're trying to split yourself to do too many things. Like, that's not that I'm still trying to find that balance, because I kind of like want to do all these things, but then I want to focus on one thing. But like I don't want to turn down these other opportunities. So yeah, I don't know.
But, yeah, I think there's another good thing as well, is like you can always pick up things that don't require like too much work. Like, you know, like for example, like learning a language, you can go full on and like really learn it quickly, or you can just do it in little steps and just learn like, you know, maybe a couple phrases a day, or you know, some like kind of grammar a day. You know, you don't have to put too much work into it, so it's still possible to do loads of things, but you know, prioritize and manage.
It's about I'd say. Yeah, it's like little steps every day can have a long-term impact, I think. Like something that I'm trying to build more is like to write more often. Because I don't know, I feel like whenever I've like journaled, I think I find a lot of value from it, or maybe just like writing ideas for videos and stuff like that, or blog posts. I just want to get into the habit of writing more, because it's something that I do enjoy, but I have found it difficult in the past to get into the habit of doing it.
I mean, best of luck. Let me know how that goes. You know, you're going to be like reading every day, writing every day. So productive. It just sounds like really cool.
What I think is, it's about finding the fun side of work. It's not just doing work. It's about doing what you enjoy. So like, I don't see a lot of things I do, I don't see it as work. I see it as fun, but it produces work. Like, I don't see editing to me as work. I see it as, yes, it kind of is work, but I also enjoy it. So it's like, it comes back to the thing of following your passions, doing what you enjoy. Yeah, that's how I think you can produce the most output and the most happiness, by doing the things that you love. But yeah, there we go.
Bit of advice to add on to that as well is, I've realized that I used to be like a person that would literally do anything, that even if I didn't want to do it, I'd just do it, and just because I feel like I had an obligation to do it. You know, especially when it comes to like favors from people, you know, like, oh, can you do this for me? Like, I think a lot of people have got that, like, think of like, oh yeah, I'll just do it, without thinking like, you know, this isn't really good for me. You know, and sometimes you have to be selfish like that. And I think, you just, you know, don't do things that you don't want to do. Like, obviously there's like some exceptions, you know, if you're helping a friend or something and it's like for the better of them and it's better for you, and do it. But you know, like, I think most of the time you should just consider, like, if it's not going to be good for you and you're not feeling like motivated to do it, then, you know, it's probably a sign that this isn't something that you should do in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Because we have a limited amount of time at the end of the day, don't we? So
damn, it's like philosophy, Alex. Stop.
Yeah,
so deep,
dude. Everything we said is linking back to something I was reading yesterday and a couple of days before. So I'm just like dumping it all out onto this conversation. But yeah, awesome.
I mean, I think this is, I don't know how long this recording's gone on for, but I think this may be a good time to wrap things up.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you everybody for listening to another episode of the Student Insider. Thanks again, Luke, for coming on. We do love hosting these podcasts, and I want to say, please rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. we really do appreciate it, and it means a lot to us. But please do it on Apple Podcasts, and we are also available on all platforms, as said at the beginning of the episode. Yeah, otherwise, Luke, anything to say?
Yeah, do let us know if you liked this more unstructured episode that we've done this week, more of like just a social one. Because I know we set out for this podcast to like inform people about, you know, like university experience and that along those lines. But you know, we're more than welcome to just, you know, chat like this, because I think this was really fun. And you know, if you want to see more of this, then, you know, leave a comment, let us know in the reviews.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, I think thanks for watching.
Yeah.
And we'll see you all in the next episode.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for listening and watching. Yeah. And we'll see you soon.